There will be no foolish wand-waving or silly incantations in this class. As such, I don't expect many of you to appreciate the subtle science and exact art that is untangling the ideological underpinnings of dark magic.
Professor Žižek, can you explain what magic really is? I mean, we know how to use it, but what is it fundamentally?
Most people think that they understand magic. Waving wands, muttering Latin, abracadabra, and poof, your problems are gone. But no. Magic, my dear students, is much more than a mere tool to achieve your desires. It is a reflection of our deepest fantasies and fears, a manifestation of the unconscious.
But Professor, magic can be studied and mastered. Doesn't that mean it's more like a science?
Yes, Miss Granger, the rational approach. Magic is not just a set of rules to be followed like a recipe. It is more like an art, a symptom of our existential condition. When you cast a Patronus, for instance, you're not just summoning a glowing deer, you're materializing your will to resist despair, your inner struggle against the darkness. And that, my dear, is something that can never be fully rationalized.
So, magic is kind of like therapy?
In a way, but it's more radical. Magic, like philosophy, forces us to confront the limits of our understanding. In a way, magic is like a mirror. It shows us who we really are, but in a distorted funhouse reflection. Where philosophy uses thought, magic uses action. When you cast a spell, you are in a sense staring at the fabric of the surface of reality.
So, you're saying magic is like a glitch in the system?
Yes, Ron. Magic can disrupt the symbolic order, but it can also mask its inconsistencies. Think of how the ministry uses magic to maintain control. The dark potential lies in how magic can serve as a tool for ideology, reinforcing oppression under the guise of order.
Professor, what do you mean dark magic being ideological? Isn't it just evil magic?
Harry, you are still thinking in simplistic terms. Evil magic, dark magic. These are just labels we apply to what disrupts the established order. The real question is, what does this darkness represent in the symbolic structure of our world? It is not just about good versus evil, but about the tension between order and chaos, between the known and the unknown.
So, like, dark magic is just misunderstood?
Not quite, Ron. Dark magic is dangerous precisely because it challenges the very foundations of our society. Think of the killing curse, Avada Kedavra. It's the ultimate act of negation, an act that refuses the other's right to exist. This is why it is unforgivable. Not just because it kills, but because it annihilates the very fabric of social reality. Without this underlying structure, the distinctions between good and evil fall apart.
So, Professor, what about Voldemort?
The Dark Lord is dangerous precisely because he understands the power of ideology. He knows how to twist the desires of his followers, how to exploit their fears, their longing for purity, control, and power. He offers a fantasy of order, of a world cleansed of the other. He wants to control the symbolic order, the meaning of things. He turns the definition of good and evil upside down.
And how do we defend against someone who embodies this darkness?
To defend against the dark arts is not merely to block spells or create protective charms. It is not just about defeating a dark wizard. It's about posing the question, what went wrong with the current social disposition that gave rise to such figure?
Professor Žižek, how is the Dark Lord connected to the systematic darkness that you talk about?
You see, the Dark Lord is not just a dark wizard. No, he is the logical extension of the evil inherent in the system itself. Voldemort's quest for power is no different than that of the most ruthless capitalists. Both seek total accumulation of resources and control over others.
But Professor, how does this relate to magic in Commodities?
Hermione. always ahead of the game. In a way, Voldemort's dark magic is the same as capitalism's commodities. In capitalism, a commodity is never just an object. It is imbued with a kind of false magic, an aura, a mystical value that makes us believe it holds more power than it does.
So you're saying Voldemort is like a really evil broom salesman?
Ha ha ha, yes. But more than that, Ron. He's the ultimate salesman, selling illusions of power, immortality, and freedom, while chaining us in a cycle of repression and violence.
But what about the Horcruxes? That seems like dark magic beyond commodities.
Horcruxes. They are a perfect metaphor for the dark heart of capitalist exploitation. Each one is a piece of Voldemort's soul. Yes? Now think of this. Like Horcruxes, every product you buy, whether it's a firebolt, a bag of Bertie Bott, or a brand new Nimbus 2000, contains within it the hidden cost of its creation, embedded in every product, in every transaction. The more we consume, the more we contribute to the fragmentation of ourselves, our labor, our environment, our world.
So, everything we buy is kind of evil.
Oh, Ron, not everything. But you have to understand, within this system, every commodity has traces of the spiritual void that manifested it. Commodities seem like just mundane objects, but the system that creates this aura around them works like dementors, sucking on the life of the planet, while selling us illusions that cater to the darkest corners of our souls. In capitalism, everything that is solid melts into air.
But Professor, how can mere illusions be more effective than magic itself?
Miss Granger, when you observe the world, you see people, you see houses, you see the sky, you see tangible objects. But when you observe yourself within, you see moving images, a world of images, fantasies. Yet, these fantasies are facts. You see, it is a fact that a man has a such and such a fantasy. And it is a tangible fact, for instance, that when a man has a certain fantasy, another man may lose his life.
I agree. Just because something is happening in your head, why should that mean that it's not real? Professor Žižek, you have a unique way of interpreting the dark arts.
Hey, you can support this production by not purchasing a commodity, and so on and so on. Link in description. Bye.